So thank everybody for attending this WebEx meeting this afternoon. We have it labeled Tewksbury Businesses Reopen, and wanted to kind of go through how the reopening process works at the state level, and then how we take our cues from that here at the local level. And we have a group with us today, all supportive of Tewksbury businesses and trying to get back up and running. Jay Kelly, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mark Kretman, who's a selectman also, but chair of the Economic Development Committee, Steve Johnson, the Planning Board chair, and then Ray Berry, Board of Health chair. And there's a number of members on this call from each of those individual boards. So welcome everybody here from the boards and from the businesses. And hopefully this slide presentation is really, it's a 10 slide presentation just to kind of help the flow of conversation, and then we can take questions later and hopefully have a good dialogue and everybody walks away with something. The first question on when does a business reopen? You can see that the state website has industry and sector specific information. Jay, could you click on that hyperlink? So on this page, you can see that there's a detailed industry reopening plan. And if you can scroll down just a little bit, Jay. Right here, it lists the business categories, when you can reopen, and then the comments on the right-hand column. So if we go down to an example of construction right there, and then opened up the detailed guidance, there's even more information there for anyone that's in the construction industry. So this section of the state website kind of tells you where to find the information on when you can open, and then what type of requirements are on your industry. And if you can bounce back to the PowerPoint. I think we're on slide 3. So what businesses need is these general business downloads, which are COVID-19 control plan template. That's on the state website. There's a compliance attestation poster, which is a customer face. You're supposed to have this poster facing your customers, and it's signing off saying that you've taken all of these steps that were in your control plan. And then there's actually posters on the state website that are supposed to be posted. Next slide, please. We did go over, actually, Jay, if you could click that hyperlink. So glad Jay's on this call.
Yeah, Steve, I don't know if it's just.
Yeah, that's okay. But again, so for each specific industry or sector, there are protocols and best practices, and those practices and best and protocols are things that businesses should look at and should look to comply. Next slide. Again, these were the items that I was telling you about. All of those are downloads that are up on the state website. Once we roll through this, I'll put those up myself off of my computer, because I think I'll be able to do that a little bit easier from here. Next slide. So really what businesses need to do is fill out their control plan, post that compliance attestation poster, post the employer and worker posters, and then make sure that you're following any other general business guidance that's provided by the state. Again, that information is all in those best practices and protocols. Next slide. Now, in enforcement, the way that the system is set up is that it's actually a self-certifying program. So the businesses need to follow the state guidelines, post all of this information, and the self-attestation, you're basically saying you're attesting that you're following the guidelines for your industry. So if complaints, so the town is not going to be involved in certifying businesses. The town is offering to assist you in going through this information. And I can tell you that we've taken a number of calls from a number of different businesses because all of this is a bit confusing, and we're working through this ourselves as new information comes out, but we're here really to help you. But if complaints are received, the town, primarily through the health department, will go out and investigate, as well as the State Department of Labor Standards can be called in to investigate a business that's open and not following the safety standards. In both instances, the enforcing agent will want to see the business's control plan and how compliance is being achieved by the business. So, in my mind, this is going to be an educational process. Again, the businesses work through the plan and what's provided by the state. You reopen on the dates that you're allowed to reopen. And if there's issues, we will come out, take a look, and probably offer assistance on a visit. Again, you're more than welcome to contact myself or Susan Sawyer or Shannon Sullivan, who's also on the call right now, in helping you with this. But primarily, the responsibility lies with the businesses. And like I said, we're here to help. And unfortunately, if there's a problem, we have to enforce. Next slide.
Steve, before you move on, just a question. Is it
Yep.
only complaint? Is it only complaint based? Is there going to be any checking just randomly, as a day-to-day thing?
We are not, that's not in our plans to do that. And it's not a requirement by the state guidelines right now.
Okay.
So for Tewksbury Sports Club, I have a question. We have at the earliest, the 29th to open inside the building, but I provided a plan that I know got in front of Mark Kratman to open outside, and it doesn't just meet, it exceeds all outdoor exercise state guidelines for sanitization and social distancing. Is that something we can do? And who's saying that we can't?
It would be helpful if you sent that information on to me so that I can work with the health department and take a closer look at that. Again,
absolutely.
We're trying to give you the best guidance we can to help you get reopened and reestablished.
Steve,
and so go ahead, Steve.
On those same lines, with different businesses that are trying to use outdoor space, is that me? Is that coming from me?
Yes.
Okay, I have no idea why. But for outdoor businesses that are trying to use outdoor space now, how is that done? Like who okays that? Because I mean, a lot of those aren't spaces that would have been used in the past. They're now going to be used as active space as opposed to parking, or I don't know. It all depends on the business, I suppose. But how does that get handled?
Right. So that's on this slide right now. Is that
Sorry.
Businesses that are looking. Oh, great. That was great. Businesses that are looking to change how they service their customers should be contacting me, and we're looking through these things. And I can tell you, in some instances, we have outdoor seating that is not taking parking proposals, not taking parking spaces. They're more on the sidewalks underneath awnings that are in plazas. So we're looking at it from that perspective. There are those that are looking at it taking up parking lots. And so as these different types of requests come in, I'm kind of sorting through these things and figuring out which ones should go to the planning board if necessary. We have, the planning board will be seeing something at your next meeting for drive-through testing for COVID-19. It's a temporary setup for one of the buildings here in town. So that's the type of thing that, we would recommend that they go to the planning board. In other instances, it may just be that they don't have to go to the planning board. All that stuff is kind of being sorted out, but that's why we're trying to.
I'm just curious. Again, I know the one that always seems to jam people up or us up or whoever up when we're doing these things is parking requirement based on, the usage numbers. So obviously under a lot of these plans, and I'm just going to use an example, if you're allowed to have 100 people in your restaurant, that isn't the case anymore. So if you're trying to use some outdoor space, are we going to be able to put together sort of an easy and allowable chart to, okay, your seating's been reduced X number because of whatever. And that obviously it's got to include what you're doing outside, but your seating's been reduced X number. So for temporary purposes, your parking can be reduced X number where that's allowable and not one of those things where it has no force.
Correct. Yes, that we're looking at it from that perspective. Because I can tell you, just this morning, I was on with the restaurant owner talking about use of the parking lot, and there was the conversation about his facility not being at full capacity, and so we're looking at the numbers of what's required, the number of seats that aren't going to be filled. And a lot of what's going to drive this is that we're still waiting to see what the standards are for restaurants to reopen and for outdoor seating. So all of that stuff evolves very quickly from the state. I think we're looking at mid next week for some more guidance on that type of stuff. But
what I meant was where they don't have to come in and ask, like where, you know what I mean? Like when you want to do certain things, you got to come back, and where it's not going to require some sort of approval from, one of the boards, if you're at least compliant. You know what I mean? Like, is that going to be allowed?
We're looking at that right now.
Okay.
And the only reason why I say it, Steve, is because there's other complications that get mixed into this as far as liquor licenses are concerned and serving outdoors and outside that footprint. There's a bill
safety
right now,
too.
right, and we got public safety that's involved. But there is a bill right now that's in the state Senate, 2944, that's looking to allow towns to permit liquor license alterations at the local level and not go through the ABCC up until November 1st of 2020. So there's all of those types of things, and that's why we're really trying to impress upon businesses that are looking to do things differently is to contact my office. And I think we've done 2 or 3 now where we've done WebExes with the business owner, just with a sketch plan, and had police, fire, building, health involved and kind of talking through. And each one of them is a little bit different. Some are on sidewalks outside the restaurant, some are in the parking lot, some are temporary, some are looking for permanent seating changes. So we're trying to work through all that and try to expedite it as quickly as possible. But it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Next slide, Jay. Questions? Look at that. We landed on this already. So, right. And so, Jay, if you could put up that last one. So for contact information, again, if people can, businesses that have questions, reach out to me directly. Again, I'm in constant contact with the health department here, which is in communications with the State Department of Public Health. Guidelines change daily on different types of uses. And then for me with the building department and talking with public safety, we're actually doing a pretty good job. And I think everybody on the town side, just so that the businesses are aware, we are interested in helping you as much as possible get open as quickly as possible. And those businesses that we've talked to have been very understanding as to where we're coming from and trying to assist you, but still having to deal with all of the other regulations and bylaws and everything else that we have. So I'm kind of making a pitch to continue to contact me directly, and we'll try to get you moving as quickly as possible. I did have one other thing. If there can be a turnover of the share files to me so that I could just put up something real quick that was kind of embedded in this PowerPoint. Can you do that, Brian? So what I wanted to get to was the sharing with people. So this is that control plan that I was talking about. This is, again, one of the downloadables on the state website. And it's a very simple checking of the boxes and then implementation of additional procedures down here. But it has certain topics as far as the business information, social distancing, hygiene protocols, staffing and operations, cleaning and disinfecting, and that's it. It's a two-page control plan, but obviously there's information from the state that you need to continue to be aware of as you're filling that plan out. The other thing that I wanted to just show, because we had talked about it, was that attestation form, which, if I have it here. And I think I'm still on the control template. Yeah, that's the control, or no, this is the attestation form. So basically it's a one-pager, and this is what is supposed to be put up so that the public can see that you've taken these steps, and then the owner has to sign it. So those are the types of things that the state's asking businesses to do. And like I said, we're going to do everything we can to try and help you get reopened. So,
Steve, question.
Yep.
So we have all these plans filled out already here. Does that have to be forwarded to the Board of Health or to you? Or we just keep them on file?
Keep them on file.
Okay, so nothing that needs to be forwarded to any department in town?
Nope.
Okay.
Now, again, Mark, if you want us to take a look at it, we'd be more than willing to do that.
Well, we have all, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory there.
Stuff that you
It
did.
is.
Yeah, we got it all filled out there. We have our own opening plan, action plans. We have plans for plans over here. I don't want to get down to the paperwork here, but we can submit as much paperwork as you want. But we have a lot of stuff going on here that we're trying to stay ahead of this stuff also. But like you said, we need better guidance. We have zero guidance as far as what we're classified as over here and what our capacity levels are going to be, and all the social distancing guidelines too. So until we get that stuff dumped on us, we can't finish checking the boxes off over here.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, that's, and again, if you want to let me know of things that you're interested in seeing, I mean, I know from your perspective, you're going to be continuing to monitor the state website, but if there's certain specific things that you're looking for, you want to shoot me an email, then we can kind of follow up and monitor for you also.
Okay, yep.
Hey,
Okay,
and
that's
Steve,
good.
Steve, can I step in for a second?
Yep.
Okay, and one of the things that we had discussed in the town also is once you get your paperwork together, you do the initial process, you submit your application, whatever you do the beginning process. At that point, once you have everything ready, if you want to submit something to the town, go directly to Steve and request a WebEx meeting directly for your business, then we can review it individually. So if there's something that you think that you're missing or something we may be looking at, we can get the individual boards together. We can do a select meeting for your business with the Board of Health, the planning board, selectmen, whatever you may need to do. And if there's questions, instead of trying to jump around from department to department, Steve is going to be the point person. And if there's questions that you think are still unanswered, or you're waiting, or you think there's something that we're waiting for, or you're waiting for, or the state's waiting for, we'd rather you reach out to us and clarify and I can get something expedited. So keep working through Steve, and if we need an individual meeting, we'll do it.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Oh, that was quick.
Well, this is Eileen at the Tewksbury Elks. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm just curious. Do you think we will come under phase 2? Outside.
Yeah. The outside, possibly.
Okay, so just get all together and contact you.
Yeah, I mean, and I would monitor, again, let me just say this. By mid next week, by the way, for everybody's information, what we've been told is that there's an expectation that the phases are going to last a minimum of 3 weeks. So before we get into phase 2, phase 1 needs to run 3 weeks. But I would,
Correct.
Eileen, I would wait until mid next week.
Okay.
Because there may be more guidance out by then.
Okay, great. And one other question, as far as training the employees, it's just basic training, or I know that SAFE is offering something. Is there a course that you want my people to take?
Yeah, I have.
Or general.
There are some people from the health department that are on this call. I don't believe that there's additional training that's required, but I don't know if Susan or Shannon had something that they were aware of.
Hi, this is Susan, and we've been asked that question if there's any videos or anything for businesses, and there isn't any training video or anything. They're entrusting the businesses at this point to train their staff on their processes, their sanitation processes, things like that. So at this point,
Okay.
There's nothing specific, no certifications, no nothing like that. Just follow the instructions of posting and such,
Oh, yep. All right, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, it's Shannon. We were on a call with the state yesterday, and they said that there's going to be more guidance regarding restaurants relatively soon. So we should have more information soon from the state.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we just finished Kathy just finished a webinar from Mass Restaurant Association. You may like what she has to say. You probably won't like what she has to say. These are guidelines are just self-certification stuff there. There's something that's the state is saying there, but the state is listening to the Mass Restaurant Association, so maybe this will be part of their guidelines too. But I'll let Kathy tell you what they told her today.
So it was it's more of an app. You can do it on the computer, but it's also something that the managers can do and the employees can do on their phone. And I don't know if you've heard it, but it was called Food Code Pro. Has anybody heard that?
No.
No.
It's Food Code Pro, and it's a COVID RAP. So they call it a RAP. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for at this moment. I got to go look it up, but I'm assuming it's some type of action program. And on there, it was specific to your business. As you go through and you create your business information, it allowed you to self-certify that you were doing things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And like, let's say my manager could report to me that she hit all her checklists. If you guys walk in or want a certification of what we've done, it chronicalizes it every time we submit. And it submits to our email, and then we have every single week we could have a submission of what we did, where it comes down to disinfecting, sanitizing, training, so forth and so on. It doesn't specifically tell you how to train, but it tells you when a new employee has come in, you did this protocol, you reviewed these worksheets with them, and then you check the box, and then you're submitting it to yourself, your email, and you can either forward that to our health department in Tewksbury, or we can forward it to another manager, or however we would like to handle it. But it looked like a thorough and complete in self-certification wrap sheet that I think is specific by business. It had it for all kinds of businesses, but I was more focusing on the restaurant business.
So this is coming from Mass Restaurant Association. It's not the Bible, but the reopening committee that the State House has been listening to Mass Restaurant. Once again, maybe more, maybe less, but be prepared if you want to look into the Mass Restaurant website. Those could be some of the guidelines coming down.
Great, thank you.
Steve, this is Jay. I just want to add, we talked about phase 2 and phase 3. The bottom line is that the state's actively rewriting the rules and guidelines, and unfortunately, we're all learning together. So if you do have a creative plan, to Steve's point earlier, send that in to Steve for review, because it might require a planning vote, a Board of Selectmen vote, or a Board of Health vote, or who knows, maybe it doesn't require any vote. So don't wait on your creative plans if you have them, because it may take some time to set up those meetings and get the required approvals. Or like I said, maybe they don't require any approvals, but let's not wait for phase 2 and 3. If you have a bold and creative plan, get those in Steve's hands and we'll determine next steps.
Thanks, Jay.
Steve, it's Steve. Just another question along those lines, though, because we are talking about the potential of 2 different versions then for restaurants, right? We're talking about where they might be able to open under an outdoor plan that might be sooner than an indoor plan, correct?
Possibly.
So if that's the case,
let me just say this. Most of the restaurants that I've talked to are aware when their phase is. It has to do more with the limited capacity that they may be stuck with. And they may be limited to 25% capacity or social distancing or gathering of less than 10 people. So those are the types of things that are kind of forcing them to look at the outdoor seating.
right. But what I meant was in terms of, well, for one thing, how is that, I don't know how to really phrase it, but how do businesses know that there might be an opportunity for them to consider outside seating? Is that just something they have to figure out on their own, or does everybody know that they could at least call in and discuss it? Because I feel like it's going to be one of those things where if it gets okayed for a few people, then suddenly everybody's going to wonder why not them and how fast can we get done? And, rather than being ahead of it, then we're behind it.
Steve, this is Susan. I just wanted to mention that, the town manager and Steve, Shannon, and myself have been, compiling lists of all the businesses, and we have been sending out, 100, 150, different types of emails. So you can all, if we don't have you on our list and you happen to be listening to this call, just send Steve or myself the emails, and you'll get on the email list that we've been sending things all for the last couple of weeks.
And to that point,
okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Steve, excuse me, it's Mark Craven. And to that point, that's why we're having this. We're having this meeting. We're trying to reach out to the businesses. We're trying to let them know to reach Steve, to begin with him, that all the departments are working together, that if you need approval from one department or another, if we didn't put this together, then people may be going to the planning board, or going to the Board of Health, or going to the selectmen, or going to the building department, and going all over the place. And the other departments may not be aware of the applications here, or somebody's asking a question here. That's the whole point of putting this together, reaching as many businesses as we can, putting this up on the town website. If the video was a little bit better, I was hoping to broadcast this on our cable advisory and get it out there to let the businesses know that they should reach to Steve. And we're working to let them know. We're trying to be proactive in reaching them instead of them trying to figure out what's going on. So we're trying to let all the businesses know, if you have a plan, come to us. We're willing to work with you. You have to do the beginning steps, but come to the town and we'll listen to anything, and nothing's off the board. Come to us, we'll see what we can do. And as long as it meets our guidelines and it's healthy and safe, and it's not breaking any state guidelines, then we're going to be willing to listen to what any business needs.
Looks like, Eileen, did you have a question? No.
Nope.
Anyone else with any questions?
Well, Steve, what I would leave with is, and maybe we can do it once we get phase 2, and that comes, it should be coming shortly. Maybe we'll try to put another one of these together when we get some more answers of what phase 2. If it's we don't know after. I mean, everybody's getting the same guessing. It's phase 1 is a minimum of 3 weeks of what they're saying, but I think they're looking at the numbers and what's going on, and we're hoping that they'll go into phase 2 and maybe phase 3, and hopefully the numbers aren't bad and maybe things will be expedited. None of us know, but we have to wait to see what the state guidelines are, and I think we can put another one of these together when other people have more questions, if they're under stage 2, if they're under stage 3, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I kind of apologize for the short notice on this. With Memorial Day weekend and with, you know, the guidelines coming out last week and everything, it just took us a while to get this up and running and to get notification out to people. So I appreciate everyone that was able to take time today to do this. I noticed just before we close out, I was just wondering if the chairman of the Board of Health, Ray Berry, had anything that he wanted to add to this at all. He did. There you go.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. No, I think just to reemphasize what everyone else has said is that I think collectively all the boards in town, and speaking more for the Board of Health, none of us are trying to be an impediment to businesses opening. We realize that businesses need to reopen. Our focus is what can we do to help them reopen as safely as possible. And as the director so was sharing with me today, the state changes their requirements or mandates every day, and not always with notifying the people that are left to enforce them. So all I offer is that if you get any word from the state side that something has changed, don't be upset if no one from the town has notified you, because you may have found out before the town did that the state has changed or relaxed some of its requirements. So we're all working this together. We're all trying to work as a collective team to help you folks get back into business.
Thanks, Ray. That was a good point. All right. Well, again, thank everyone for giving up your afternoon to have this conversation. I think it was good for all of us to make the communications, and moving forward, we'll be in touch as more guidelines come out, as Mark had mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much.